Did you know K Flock is being snitched on by his own gang member? It was announced. K Flock reportedly used a firearm against someone who used one against his friend in 2020. Today, the friend he defended is testifying against him. The snitch's name in the case is Brockington, aka Dougie in the streets. Not to be confused with Dougie B, K Flock's best friend. Brockington was arrested for selling on the streets. As a result, he took a plea deal with the state and agreed to inform against Flock. But with these recent updates of Flock in his jail cell, he seems to be doing just fine.
Talk to them, Flock. Talk to them, my dog. Soon come home, man. You got these little boys walking around with no jewels, Flock. They need you. They need you, Flock.
I'm telling you.
K Flock believes in his defense team that he will be set free. However, the snitch could affect his release date. It's important to read the case file to understand Flock's release date, as prosecutors asked Dougie aka Brockington in court, "After you got hit, who called you in the hospital?" Dougie answered, "KK called." He said, "You know we got you, bro." The prosecutors confirm KK refers to Flock, and Dougie says, "Yes, he was gonna retaliate against whoever hit me." To ask it straight up, the prosecutors say, "They hit them up in retaliation for you?" Dougie responds that someone got grazed during the incident and they retaliated against him. They asked, "Did you see K Flock with a firearm?" Dougie snitched out Flock by saying he did, and that he was arguing with rival team members who had been circling their block. This lines up perfectly with the passing of Oscar Hernandez, because on December 23rd, 2021, K Flock was charged with the passing of Oscar Hernandez. Flock is seen on camera walking down the sidewalk in the city with his sister. On this day, K Flock wore a blue coat, a shiesty mask, and designer jeans. It's important to note that just minutes before coming into frame, Flock was on IG Live yelling at his ops before putting his phone away. In the footage, you see Flock walking past the barbershop. Oscar immediately notices Flock from inside the shop and runs out to him asking, "What are you looking at?" With a lot of history between the two, they began yelling at each other back and forth. Once they had enough shouting, K Flock continued on his way, as he didn't want to put his sister in any danger. Oscar continued to walk after K Flock. For a second, he hesitated and thought to walk back into the barbershop. Against his better judgment, he escalated the argument further. In the following moments, Oscar was seen grabbing inside his jacket pockets. With K Flock noticing this and still being followed, Flock whipped out his firearm from his jacket and used it against Oscar. Hitting him multiple times, Oscar tried running back to the barbershop but fell onto the sidewalk. Once Flock stopped firing, he fled the scene, leaving Oscar lying on the sidewalk by himself. In an attempt to save his life, witnesses at the scene dialed 911. Oscar was quickly rushed to a local New York hospital but would sadly pass away. All that was left at the scene were shell casings and Oscar's slides that he was wearing. For the first 24 hours afterwards, Flock thought he got away with the crime. The NYPD collected security footage from the scene but had no clue who the masked man was. And with no leads, law enforcement asked the public for help. They posted this photo of the suspect from the crime, asking for help identifying him. Unfortunately for Flock, he had too many eyes on him with his music career, because not only did Flock post pictures wearing the designer jacket that he had on that day, but fans also noticed from his IG Live he was wearing the same coat. Fans acted on this fast and tipped off the NYPD. They sent out a warrant for his arrest almost immediately. And with Flock knowing his time was up, he used his last hours to hire one of the best lawyers in the world. The two met up the following day and walked into the NYPD's 30th precinct. At the same time, his lawyer released a statement. "Yesterday, I accompanied Kevin as he self-surrendered to detectives in the 30th precinct. Arrangements were immediately made with the NYPD once I learned he was wanted. As to the charges against him, we have begun our investigation into these allegations. We will address bail once we have had a chance to review the case and further investigate the DA's noteworthy disclosure." K Flock's lawyer was given all the evidence the feds had and started on K Flock's defense.
When the guy hits the ground and is found, he's got a loaded that was in his pocket that his hand was on at the time. We consider that to be self-defense.
So he did hit him in self-defense.
That's what the allegation is. I don't want to talk too much about the details of the case, but the government claims that he pulled the... But at the same time, the person that was around had his hand on a illegal loaded...
Okay. So without saying too much, you're arguing obviously self-defense.
That could be one of the arguments, self-defense. And I would say to the public, somebody's walking up to you with a loaded, it's pretty clear he's going to use it, with a criminal record a mile long. Do you want to get or do you not want to?
Oh, absolutely. I wouldn't hesitate to pull the
shortly after the NYPD released their statement. They believe the incident resulted from a long-time beef between street teams. They realize Flock has a long-time affiliation with the Bronx Third Side team. It's on record that Flock was heavily involved in street crimes during the previous years leading up to this incident. With Flock being a big name in the streets, he had a lot of power on decisions and he would often be targeted when his ops retaliated. This destroyed his name in the rap industry, which led to his best friend B-Love saying,
okay, but so I saw some fans who were off at both me and Academics after K-Flock got locked up because well, just because I guess, like, you know, in our tone when we talked about it, you know, it might have seemed like we were being a little too presumptuous. But is that weird for you? Because I'm sure you see people all the way from rappers to whoever acting like, you know, your boy is just done and he's cooked in this situation.
I ain't gonna lie, people, especially people that don't even be knowing, like, y'all don't even know what's going on, bro.
We even saw Bobby talk on K-Flock saying,
what's it like for you watching the K-Flock thing happen? That's crazy. Next big artist coming out of New York.
I love Flock, so I like that. That's my guy.
Okay.
But, you know, I'm wishing him the best right now, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, for the alleged charges they pushing on him, you know what I'm saying? I'm wishing his family the best. I'm wishing the whole team the best and everything, you know what I'm saying? And I hope he beat them alleged charges, you know what I'm saying? Because he got a lot of future brightness. He got, and I hope, you know what I'm saying?
That would be a sad story if that's the end of the
no, we ain't gonna think like that, you know what I'm saying?
You gotta stay positive.
In the meantime, Flock's lawyers worked on a self-defense claim. However, it turned much worse for Flock when it was announced. K-Flock was indicted by a federal grand jury for multiple racketeering conspiracy charges, also known as RICO charges. Hip-hop creators reacted to the news, knowing just how bad a RICO is by saying, K-Flock just caught a RICO, it's over. DJ Academics even shared, Feds just unsealed an indictment on K-Flock for a RICO charge. The mandatory minimum if he doesn't beat those charges or snitch is life in prison. He still is facing state charges that have him locked up. This ties into the same thing Boozy said about YNW Melly. Once the feds get you, they'll do anything to keep you.
When they want you, they want you. I knew they wanted him bad when they waited for that law to get passed. So it'd be 8-4.
Oh, right, yeah.
You know, they waited all the way till that law got passed to take him to trial.
Yeah, he was in jail for what, 2 years, 3 years?
Yeah, they could have been took you to trial.
You're right.
They waited till that law got passed and took him to trial a couple months later. When they want you, man. Just don't see how he didn't get a bond after a fucking mistrial.
But Flock's lawyer shared a statement which reads, "We're not surprised by the federal charges as we've been fighting Kevin's state charges for over a year now. Considering the incident was a clear act of self-defense, it wasn't a strong charge. The fact it's now being used as a basis for a penalty charge is extraordinary. On video, it is crystal clear that Kevin was about to be affected after attempting to walk away from the other person. Only then did Kevin use an item to defend himself and his sister from an armed team member who was about to pull out his item from his pocket." On the bright side for K-Flock, court reporters announced this. Day one of K-Flock trial's over. Instant thoughts are, the prosecutors are not ready. They're stuttering many words, not answering the judge's questions, and not supplying much evidence to invalidate K-Flock's lawyer's defense. They also noted Flock looked emotional at the end of his trial day. It makes sense with it being his first trial, but his lawyers whispered to him they're gonna win. So much so that Flock's legal team shared a message from him in jail.
I know what's going on, man. Flock, I know something. Man, like, me to the guys, man. Hey, yo, like, I'll be back real soon. Shout out to my fans and my supporters, man. I love all y'all, man. For all the youth out there, violence, man. For me, and do what y'all supposed to do, man. For me, get through life correctly, bro. Like,
get money.
So, man, I'll see you real soon.
But did you know many rappers are being targeted by the feds? Even last week, Lil Baby was called out by the Atlanta police.
The investigation aspect of this, Lamont Freeman was allowed to be a 13-year-old for 27 minutes. Before gang violence ultimately took his life. Gang violence was orchestrated by adults in our city. And cowardly acts of an Atlanta-based rapper that decided to go over into a rival gang stronghold and shoot a music video in a place that he knew he should not have been. And in the subsequent days, we saw and ultimately the deaths of 2 children as a result of his cowardly actions. And you know who you are. And I tell you that this team will work relentlessly to hold you and the persons that you are affiliated with responsible for those actions.
We even saw Young and Ace being name-dropped by the Jacksonville sheriff. Are we witnessing a rap takedown by the feds?
So Young and Ace has long been known in Jacksonville. We are consistently monitoring those groups. We have people that are always watching them. I won't speak to the chief's investigation. That's up to TPD. We don't have an investigation on him right now, but he can't move around in Jacksonville without us knowing about it. And that's for the betterment of our community.